As I bit into what looked like an Oreo, I was completely disappointed. What entered my mouth was not the perfectly balanced chocolate to icing ratio cookie that gets stuck in your teeth for hours. It was not the best cookie in the world that could be made better only with milk, but something else entirely. It was some food that resembled an Oreo, but tasted like a combination of cardboard and Splenda. Of course, now that I had taken a bite, there was no turning back. I had to finish. The struggle of pretending to enjoy this bland cookie was unsuccessful. I'm sure that my acting skills were subpar, my half smile doing no good concealing my dismay. This is the beginning of my snapshot about the first time that I experienced a family that buys only organic food with only a certain amount of sugar in it. In 3rd grade, my friend and I went to the store with her mom, and she only got foods that had a certain amount of grams of sugar, and it was the first time I had ever experienced any family doing something like that, because my family never did anything like that, and all the food in their house was organic. And after this experience, shortly after, my family started buying organic food and food with less sugar, and though we never turned entirely into buying only organic, we now, I can't remember the last time we bought fruit that was non-organic.
And I think that organic food doesn't have to be gross. I mean, you don't want to get organic cookies because there's not really any point to that, but you can get tasty organic food. So do you think that after you started eating organic, the food decreased in taste quality?
No, definitely not. I mean, I like organic food. It was just so different from what I had experienced. I mean, my family was a family that, ate shake and bake every night for dinner, and we had pizza and stuff like that, and we never really thought about eating super healthy. And then when other stores and stuff like that and other families started eating organic and more healthy, we kind of started to do that too.
What do you think started your family's transformation from being like a family that hadn't really tried eating organic or buying organic food to being a family that buys only organic food or mostly organic food?
I think definitely that when it started to become in style to eat organic, the stores started to sell more organic food, and there were less options to buy cheaper non-organic food, and so that was definitely one of the factors that caused us to start eating organic and more healthy. And also the fact that a lot of our friends' families were eating like that, so we started to follow the trend.
Same thing kind of happened with my family about a year ago. We always kind of ate healthy, but about a year ago, my mom decided to start eating gluten-free along with my dad, and because our neighbor gave her this book, and it basically says how bad wheat is. So from now on, all the food that's in my lunch is usually gluten-free, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but it just kind of changes the way your life kind of is.
And I think in some ways, the kind of food we eat is a fashion statement and a status symbol, because in Marin, a lot of rich people like to pretend that they have a lot less money than they have, so they don't have fancy watches and expensive suits and stuff, but they compensate with this by buying organic food and trying to be as healthy as possible.
When I was younger, I lived in a town called Marietta. It was full of fast food, and there were not many places to get organic foods. It was the same when I moved to Long Island, New York. In New York, my mom had to go to this crazy store a half hour away from our house to get healthy foods. Once I moved from New York to Marin, I was surprised about how health conscious everyone was. In other places I lived, most of the people would be overweight, and here I noticed that hardly anyone was. So that's the last paragraph of my snapshot. And it's just talking about all the different places I live and how it's impacted the way, how different the diet of people's diets are in different places in the world and the country. Here in Marin, there are a lot more people who are health conscious because it's one of the more expensive places to live, and usually more organic foods are harder to get because they're more expensive. Where in Marietta or New York or Long Island, wasn't the most expensive place to live, but it still was. But more people ate crummier foods just because it was easier to get and less expensive.
I think in some ways the fact that we live in a rural area affects our diet, because like in the city there's a ton of money, but organic food is a lot less popular. I think it's because like we're closer, like if you go out to Point Reyes you can see organic farms on your drive, so people see that and they want to be able to have that in their lives.
We discussed the availability of food in Marin. Thanks for listening from Trent Podcasts.
Goodbye.